working on annotating a copy of The Odds to do for a fun giveaway. This is my first time reading the book since it's been finished and it is, you know, in book form. I'm nervous and excited to reread it and like really get into it. Like, what if I read it and I think it's bad? I really enjoyed doing the annotated edition of The Glass Witch when I did that giveaway last year, so I wanted to do the same thing this year. I basically just go through the book and I add in tabs and sticky notes. I highlight things, I let you in on little Easter eggs, I decorate the book with like stickers and washi tape. It's a great time. And I thought to myself, why not vlog it? Let's see my undiluted reaction to reading my book for the first time in like a year and seeing it as the final copy, and also give you little background behind the scenes information on all the fun little Easter eggs inside of here. One of the first things that I immediately noticed was that my first sentence in my prologue stayed the exact same from the first time I wrote it in the first draft until the finalized copy. It is this kooky, ridiculous, run-on sentence that I love so much because I think it perfectly sets the tone for what you're getting in this story. If you are reading this, then you have braved the carnivorous garden, gained passage through the weeping tree by leaving an offering of toenails, and pried this book from the cold, dead hands of the ghost of Swamproot Manor's long buried body. If you do not do these things, then you are probably an earthworm and therefore can't read anyway. If the first sentence of the book doesn't appeal to you, probably the whole book is not for you, and you can just tell right off the bat if you're going to be the right audience or not. Love that. I just finished reading the first chapter and I'm enjoying it so much. It's interesting because right now where I'm at with my next middle grade novel is in first drafting, so everything's utter crap. But I'm looking over some of these sentences and I'm like, I wrote that? Like, that's poetry. I also truly forgot how funny this is. I mean, funny to me. It might not be funny to anyone else, but I'm cracking myself up. It makes me feel a little bit less terrible about my first draft that I'm doing right now because I'm like, oh, okay, if I just keep revising, maybe I can make it read like this. Another little fun fact that I could share that I just actually annotated in the book is that my main character's name is Begonia. That is actually the name of my recently deceased pet rabbit. Begonia was an amazing 10-year-old bunny that I just had forever, and she, like Begonia in my book, was 10 years old and acted like a grandma and was just sassy and grumpy as all get out, and I loved her very dearly. I'm now up to chapter 7, and I'm not gonna lie, all of these tabs and all of the writing on the inside is just very, very pleasing to me. One little fun thing of note in the book is that we're learning about some of Begonia's grandparents. She has 53 of them. And everyone in the nursing home has an oddity. It's some kind of weird magical quirk about themselves or a certain ability that they have. Grandpappy Burl is a snowman, and I named him Grandpappy Burl because Burl Ives is like the original Frosty the Snowman. I don't know if kids are gonna pick that out, but there will definitely be a few like older librarians or, you know, young grandmas like me that are gonna be like, oh yeah, Burl Ives. Another little fun slightly ridiculous thing that I do sometimes is when I don't have a name for someone, sometimes I'll just make an anagram of their title. For example, there's a part in the book where I'm talking about a famous coffin maker. For drafts, I just had him in as coffin maker, all caps highlighted, so I knew eventually I needed to come up with a name. I needed to get the book out to like beta readers, critique partners, so I was just like, throw something in there. And I was like, okay, he's a coffin maker, let's just make an anagram of coffin maker. And we got Oren Maffick. Great news, kids. I just got the notification that I have a package at the door, which might make this annotation a little bit more fun. I got 3 new sticker packs and they're all like seasonal themed. So this is perfect. Oh, okay. The leaves for sure. I could do something with that. My soul just left my body. Oh my God. Shut up. We definitely have some fun things to get up to now. Another thing that I thought would be kind of fun to mention is where this story came from and how it actually started as a completely different book that I might still write. First of all, I chat all the time about how I use note cards to write down all of my story ideas. When I'm ready to write something, I look at the cards and see if I can combine any. These right here, paper clips, are all of the note cards that I've already used. I had 3 different concepts for the odds that I knew that I wanted to explore. One of the note cards was that I wanted to play with the idea of a safe house or an orphanage. This has been kind of like a trope, like the found family orphanage, a bunch of people who actually aren't related living together like they are. That's been something that I've really liked ever since I was a teenager. I think it's because of the City of Bones Cassandra Clare situation, and they all have their little safe houses, and I thought that was so cool, just a bunch of teens living together getting up to shenanigans. Another thing that kind of goes with that is the idea of eclectic residents all living together, kind of like in Coraline. I just thought it would be fun to have all of these kooky, weird personalities shoved together living under one roof. And then the note card that was kind of like the adherent that made everything stick together. A middle grade whimsical story about a girl raised in a retirement home. And one day I was flipping through all my cards and I was like, you know what, let's not do an orphanage, let's do the retirement home, but I still want everyone in the retirement home to have that found family feeling, and I want them all to be weird and eclectic like the characters in Coraline. On August 11th, 2019, I started my brainstorming dump for this idea of a magical nursing home middle grade. And as things usually go when I'm brainstorming, I go down a bunch of different avenues with this book. I thought of kind of doing something like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory-esque, or even maybe like a school, like I wrote down the Poppy Wars. I then went down the avenue of a secret society, an infiltration, almost like a Miss Bourne-esque by Brandon Sanderson type plotline. I ended up really liking that idea, and in fact, I ended up having front, back, and a half of another page of ideas for that. Of course, it had to have something to do with old people because I still wanted there to be a big grandparent retirement home core to the story. It was going to be 2 POVs. I had a person who was inside of the society and a person who was outside trying to break their way in. I don't really know exactly what the breaking point was from me putting down this avenue and deciding to explore a different avenue with the parts of the story that I still liked. For whatever reason, on 10/19, I decided to make a new version of the Odd book and start a whole new avenue of brainstorming from here. This avenue lost the secret society. It became a lot more stationary. We stay in the haunted mansion the entire time and we're doing a quest around it, rather than in the first iteration of the story where it's a larger city, and in reality was a story that probably needed more than one book to completely tell everything that I wanted to. The hilarious thing is both versions of Begonia, the main character, is the exact same in both versions of the book. It's just she's living in 2 totally different realities. I really still like this original idea. I've mentioned it before. I have a video where I talk about all of the writing projects that are in my mind or that I'm currently working on at some capacity. I mentioned SOB in it, which stands for Secret Organization Book. Hilarious title. And that's it. It is the first version of the odds. It is now so fundamentally different though, you wouldn't be able to tell that these 2 are even related. Isn't that weird how stories kind of evolve on their own? really quickly talk about some character casting. There's this dude that shows up in chapter 3 and his name is, actually we don't know his name, but his title is the Pooh, P-O-O, Pursuant of Oddless Occult. He's basically like a bounty hunter for all of these kids who don't have magical powers that need to be rounded up and sent to like the normie world. I kind of wrote him in to have a bit of like a Cockney accent and I feel like he looks like this dude from Pirates of the Caribbean. 100%. This is him. So if you're reading this book, picture this as the Pooh. Also with Begonia, I think that the cover artist did really well with her. I told her I basically saw her as a younger version of Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter, but with the personality of Draco Malfoy. And I mean, she perfectly encapsulated that. And while we're on character casting, I think we need to talk about Babette. In the odds, Begonia has 53 grandparents that all live in this kooky retirement home, right? And the one grandma that she's closest to is Babette. And Babette just, I mean, imagine this in human form. She's just a very carfuncly, grumpy, fortune-telling grandma. I don't know, she's like my fave. I love her. In chapter 8 is where we really get to meet most of Begonia's grandparents. They're all gathered together in the morning room having their breakfast. Morning room is spelled M-O-U-R-N. ING, because of course. And this is where I really get to show off all of the different oddities that the grandparents have. And I really just cut loose with this. I had so much fun. I have one grandpa who like opens his trench coat and there's like a million rats inside. I have Grandma Minnie, who is just this absolute bison of a human and has huge horns that change colors depending on her mood. Papa Merle has poison mushrooms that sprout all over his body when he gets very stressed. And there is a grandpa, I forget his name at the moment, but he just lives under the love seat and like hisses at people as they pass by. No one knows what he looks like. But I think my favorite oddity that I gave any of the grandparents is Nini Zira. Her oddity is basically that she is like half human, half dandelion. Imagine a dandelion fluff like always being caught in a breeze. Like that is what her hair is. And she doesn't speak at all. She just stands by the window trying to photosynthesize as much sunlight as humanly possible. It's so pure and so beautiful. I love her. I have moved outside because we are just about to enter the carnivorous garden and I thought it was only fitting to go out and sit in my garden. I did want to read this one little section that I just came to because I don't know, it just kind of hurts my heart every time, but it's so true. Begonia shrugged out of Bass's hold. I'm fine, let's go. We have to get the object before it gets... But she couldn't bring herself to say gets worse, because it would get worse before it got better, and then it would get worse again. And even in the periods of no rain, when she got to run and play and just be, thunder and lightning always lurked in the shadows, souring her cloudless day. She was always prepping for the next thunderstorm. If that's not life with chronic pain, I don't know what is. I love the carnivorous garden part of the book so much. Like, it might be one of my favorite parts. It's just, to me, so atmospheric and ridiculous. I'll read you some of the passages of some of the vibes that I've set here. The muddy path cut like a wound through the garden, and if the path was a wound, then the tangle of weeds were the jagged stitches holding it together. Most of the plants had died in the frost, but those that survived swayed as the children passed, some spitting venom, some singing very off-tune. Keep your eyes peeled for anything that looks like a key, Begonia said, and for goodness sake, stay away from that witch root. It's drooling. Bass bypassed the purple shrub oozing goo and hurried up to Begonia's side. Through the garden they searched, decay and earth heavy in their noses. They stomped around prickly drearyweed and wazy nettle, tromped through a patch of groggy gardenias that snored against neighboring stalks, and leapt over the clusters of teeth sprouting up like cabbages, ripe to be plucked and molded into dentures. I'm not gonna lie, I low-key kind of forgot about the denture part. This hot chocolate, you guys, is next level. I'm in the final few pages. I'm on 238 out of 261. And on 238, there's a line of dialogue where the original title of the book is named. I mean, I've always called it on this channel Tobe or The Odd Book, but I always thought in my head that the real title, once it was published, of the book would be The Ghost of Swamproot Manor. We ended up going with The Odds, but it is kind of like a fun little look back to see, oh, The Ghost of Swamproot Manor. Also, I just got really sucked into the book. I wrote it, so I think it's good, but like the climax is just like very engaging to me. And there was a point where I didn't even notice it happened, but at some point I flipped from reading this as an author annotating their book to like just straight up reader, and I was completely within the story world. That to me is like a really good sign that I did something right, if I can trick myself into becoming a reader of my own work. I did it. I finished. I know it's my book, and I know that my emotions and feelings towards it are probably stronger than most people's. I love this baby. The ending is so, I don't even have words. There is a quote in here. Remember I told you Begonia likes trivia? So I start every chapter with some kind of random fact that has to do with what we're learning in the chapter. There's a fact at the top of chapter 24 that says, fact, Edorath is the melancholy emptiness one feels after a long, difficult process is finally complete. And it's just like, the ending leaves you with that feeling. It's kind of like, it's happy and it's hopeful, but it's also a little bit melancholy. I love books that end that way. I don't know. I just am proud of myself. The fact that I was able to make myself feel that way makes me happy. This is not like a humble brag. Like, I am very hard to please. So I'm just, yeah. I don't know. I know it's not going to be for everyone, but I hope the people who it is for and that will enjoy it find it. But even if no one else likes this book, like, it was 100% for me, I'm happy with it. And I'm happy with that reality. There is one little last chapter thing that I wanted to mention. I do have a bit of an Easter egg from The Glass Witch, which will be fun for those of you who have read it. You can see a character from there show up. I'll leave it a little bit mysterious for you to discover on your own. But now that the book is finished, it's all annotated, I am going to work on finishing up all of the decorations, and I will take you on a journey, on a tour of what the final annotated copy of The Odds looks like. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. The Odds by this time will be available for order wherever books are sold. And yeah, I'm so happy to share this little baby with you. So please enjoy the final product.